we enter the midway stage of the 2021-2022 Premier League campaign, I thought I would another go at actually predicting the outcome of this season, who's going to come out as champions and who will actually go down. Take a little look next. That's right, folks. Welcome to another prediction video today. We look forward to the end of the season. That's right. Who's going to come out on top at the end of the 2021-2022 campaign? Of course, we're going to predict it right here, right now. Of course, to showcase you my results in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. And if you know where you've been, smash your subscribe and get your bag today. All things Premier League related, Blackburn related, world football related. We're going to all here under one roof scale. Of course, yes, big shout out to my VIPs. They are the Patreons. Thank you for your love. And of course, as we try to kick on up another level, if you want to help us out, check out the link down below, patreon.com/Roverseas. Okay, boys, here's what we're going to do is take a little look at the Premier League campaign. We're going to try and, of course, re-predict how the table will look at the end of the season come May. Now, I've done this a couple of times already this season. I did it way back at the very initial concept of the Premier League this season. That was, of course, at the final whistle of the conclusion of the Championship playoff. Then I did it again in July, and now we're going to have another go in the middle of December as we look forward to 2022. Does it going to change much from the actual table, or will it be completely different? We're going to have a little look at it next. So we're going to start right here, right now, of course, in the middle of the table, which I believe will be 11th, work our way down, and then, of course, reveal the top 10. So here is how I think the end of the campaign will look out in the Premier League. So into 11th will be Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's right. They currently find themselves, where are they? 8th in the table under Bruno Langa's managerial ship. I do think they'll tail off at the end of the campaign. Of course, when you look around about that part of that table, you've got likes of Leicester, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace also doing well. Everton also looking forward an extra couple of gears. So I do anticipate them to kind of end up in mid-table once, of course, the final whistle does come in May. But to be honest with you, for the first season over in England for Bruno Langa's boys, I think 11th spot is pretty good, and they'll be content with that. But it is a tail off from 8th, where they find themselves right here, right now, in of course, on Christmas Eve. Meanwhile, it's at 12th. We've got Crystal Palace, pretty much non-movers, really. They are actually 11th in the table, and of course, I think they'll finish in middle of the road there. And again, not too shabby a result for Patrick Vieira, of course, coming in, take over the reins from Roy Hodgson, and doing an absolutely fantastic job as well. And again, this is the stuff that you want, really. Just like Steven Gerrard over in Aston Villa, getting a decent result from a middle of the road sort of Premier League side, and of course rebuilding your reputation, especially in regards to Patrick Vieira. He'll probably have got outside aspirations for maybe the Arsenal job, maybe the Manchester City job in the future. So doing well here with Crystal Palace. And doing well is 12th. Of course, they're a little bit gutted because they are currently 11th, and I think they maybe have outside sniffs for a top 10 finish. But for me, I think they'll end up in 12th. Meanwhile, kicking forward, we'll go into 13th spot, and it is Brighton Hove Albion. Currently find themselves in 13th, non-movers there. Fantastic start to the campaign, kind of tailing off a little bit now. They're going to be on the lookout for some reinforcements, some additional squad depth in the transfer window. They have been linked with, of course, Diaz over at Blackburn Rovers. Hopefully, that won't come to fruition. And hopefully they don't recall back any of their players as well, as of course the COVID issues causing problems for a lot of the teams right now, not having enough depth to get the games to go ahead. But Brighton, for me, non-movers. Potter's doing a fantastic job, and again, keeping them in this division will be another string in his bow, another feather in his cap, and again to build on, because this is the new crop of managers, the likes of Patrick Vieira, the likes of Graham Potter, the likes of Steven Gerrard. Of course, they are the new faces of Premier League, so they're going to be looking to give themselves a good old boost. And for me, 13th spot for Brighton is pretty dang good. Kicking off forward to 14th, it will be the six-fingered freakazoids, Burnley. That's right. Unfortunately, this is the hardest one to take. They are in the relegation zone as of recording on the 18th, but they do have 3 games in hand on some of the teams above them and beneath them. So I do anticipate them to win those 3. Well, not win those 3, but at least pick up some points in those 3 and eventually climb the table and ultimately finishing 14th. I would love it. I would love it I would love it if they get relegated. I really bloody would, but I don't see it happening, especially with Eddie Howe. They've got a really fantastic player in that Cormet fellow. They got him from Lille or Lyon or wherever it is. Of course, the attacking player, left-handed side, was phenomenal for them, and he's been also doing A-OK for Burnley. They may not have won many games, just the one game this season, but again, I think second half of the season, they always bloody do it. They always bloody do it, and I think they'll do it again. 14th spot for Burnley. 15th spot will be Leeds United, currently find themselves in 16th. I think they will eventually start getting some points. And again, they could be dipping their hand in the transfer market this coming January to kind of strengthen their team. I would say this, but right now they do look very, very curious, hovering in around about the 16th spot, just 5 points off the drop. And again, Burnley don't have those games in hand, and they can put them in a bit of water, hot water that is, if they don't get their act together. But to be honest with you, I do think things will slowly click in place for Bielsa's boys, and again, kick on forward and get out of that relegation query. Into 16th, it will be the Geordies. That's right, they are in a bit of trouble right here, right now. Again, just like Burnley, just one win all season, 10 points on the job. They have changed their manager. They have brought in Eddie Howe, and since he's come in, you know, could he have done any worse? He's had a couple of little rough results, and they're going through a rough fixture list right here, right now, through the festive period. And again, the postponements aren't helping them because they just don't know what's gonna unfold for Newcastle. They will have a bit of a busy transfer window with, of course, Trippier linked with, of course, coming over there. Some other players as well. Agallo maybe coming in to support the attacking lines. It'll be an interesting January, I'm sure, for the Geordies. But I do think they will fire their way out of relegation zone into 16th, and then of course hopefully next season they can build on that and maybe push for a top 10 next season. Anyway, that's of course my pick. 16th. Meanwhile, 17th will be Southampton. Currently find themselves in 15th. Of course, they did bring in Adam Armstrong. Adam Armstrong's goals have not materialised. I've got a couple of goals to his name, but not really nothing that's going to be setting the place on fire. I was hoping that he could do that and maybe even force himself into the England reckoning, but it's not been the case. Southampton, though, decent little team, and again they're not really going to be pleased with that, but again, sticking in the Premier League should always be their aim. They shouldn't be setting the place on fire just yet. Ralph Hasenhuttl has been his back up against the wall for the past couple of seasons now, and he needs to kind of turn the page a little bit and start to turn these guys into a better established Premier League clubs instead of hanging on for the skin of their teeth. But I think they'll just about do it. Southampton staying up. Going down will be Brentford. Unfortunately, they are 12th in the table. It is a bit of a free fall, and I did anticipate them to struggle at the start of the season. They've lost David Raya, of course, ex-Rovers player there. Fantastic goalkeeper, number one goalkeeper as well. Big injury. He's going to be out for a good part of the season. And again, Ivan Toney's not really scoring the goals. They do not seem to be the team that's going to go dip in the hand of the transfer market and spend big to bring in a striker to kind of turn things around. So I do think pretty much what you've got, Brentford, is what you're going to be stuck with. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to have the quality to grind it out. And again, when you look at the teams around you, you've got established Premier League clubs. For example, your Southamptons, your Evertons, your Leeds. Those kind of clubs are going to start picking up points against teams like yourself, like Norwich, like whoever else I've got down there, Watford and things like that. So yeah, I just don't think Brentford are going to have the quality in the end. Unfortunately, they're going to be probably last chance saloon at the end, scrappy-dappy-do stuff, and they'll end up going down, unfortunately. Joining them will be Watford. That's right, of course, forever changing their manager. They've also changed their manager this season. Zizko has gone out. Claudio Ranieri's coming in to kind of take over the reins as well, but yeah, it's not going to be good enough. Unfortunately, he's not going to have another fairy tale season like he did with Leicester City. Unfortunately, Claudio Ranieri, they're going down, and they're going down hard, and they currently find themselves in 17th, just above the drop zone. And again, with Burnley's games in hand, I just can't see Watford getting the results. And of course, joining them will be Dean Smudger-Smith's Norwich City. Change of manager is not going to do them good. They did okay, of course, picked up a couple, 2 or 3 results, decent, got a couple of wins under the belt. They've actually got more wins than Burnley and Newcastle combined, well, about the same anyway. So he has done a little bit of stuff, but unfortunately, I think it's just going to be mission impossible for a candidate such as Dean Smith. I think in a scenario where they should have been looking at Sam Allardyce, some of the great Houdini managers that have done it in the past. And for me, I don't think Dean Smith gives that appearance or that persona to galvanise a bunch of guys that he's not really connected with. You know what I mean? Like Dean Smith connected with Villa. He was a Villa fan. That's his bread and butter. It's like me coming in Rovers. I could hopefully galvanise something out of Rovers players. I couldn't galvanise anything out of a Norwich guy for love or money. You need somebody. And unfortunately, I think Norwich have got a guy who's decent, capable coach, tactician and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's just going to get found out in the long term by the better teams. Into 10th spot, we got Everton. Of course, Everton are having a shit show of a season. They've even brought Rafa Benitez in, who came in on, when is it, back end of June. I don't think he's going to last it, to be honest with you. I think before too long, he's either going to click in a gear and things will start working in their way, or they're going to pull the trigger and big Duncan Ferguson will have to come in and save the day. Like a Dean Smith for Villa, a guy passionate about Everton will grind out the results and they'll end up finishing 10th. And maybe he'll get the job full-time for the first time ever, because he was linked before Ancelotti came in, or whoever came in before him. But yeah, Everton's struggling with Rafa. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not got the goals like he did last year. I'm not too sure if he was injured or whatever. Rodriguez left. It's just been starved of creativity and starved of a style of play that they need. And right now, Everton look a big old fat question mark. But they'll get their shit in order, I think. Into ninth spot, we have Leicester City. They currently are in ninth. Bit of a stamp squib here for Leicester City. Of course, choked last season for the top four, choked in the Carabao Cup, and they're still competing though in Europe, believe it or not, in one way or another. I don't know if it's full scale proper Europa League or Conference League or whatever it is. They're still competing, but I just think it's going to be one of those seasons that just forget about it, because that top four, top six race is deadly right now, and Leicester shouldn't even be in consideration with what they are. They're a decent team. I do like them, and I love some of their players. I think some of the players are top notch, and they deserve to be playing Champions League football on a regular basis. But with Leicester, unfortunately, I just think maybe Brendan Rodgers got his head turned, maybe by, of course, some of the big time jobs that came around. The Spurs job, the United job, and of course constant links with Manchester City for future. Maybe matey boy Brendan Rodgers has got his already planning his 2022 already. Anyway, to 8th spot, we've got, where's my moose? We've got Aston Villa. That's right. They have made a decent appointment, and of course an appointment that fits all parties. Aston Villa picking up a great manager who's been established in Scotland, of course, turned a forever bridesmaid into a bride at long last, winning the title with Rangers, of course, denying Celtic their 10th in a row. So big opportunity for him to transition, take that momentum from Scotland all the way down to Aston Villa, a team that's got all the parts needed for a decent European contender, whether it is Europa League or whatever. They've got the ingredients to make a really, really good team. And of course, Stevie G has got the nous of the Premier League. He knows everything about it, except for picking up the trophy, of course. But I still think Aston Villa can have a decent season. They currently find themselves in 10th. They are within touching distance of 8th already, 3 points off. But yeah, I think they'll stay the ship, get 8th. And you never know, that might be good enough for a Europa League conference. I don't even know. But anyway, and again, just building your resume. Stevie G is one of the guys that's going to be a face of the Premier League as a manager for a while, whether it is with Villa or beyond. Kicking off to 7th, we have West Ham United, currently 5th. I think they're going to be pushing it a little bit too hard for Champions League efforts again. But fantastic efforts it's been so far for West Ham over the past 3 seasons with Moyes and co. But yeah, this season I think that race for top 4, top 5 is going to be deadly. And again, like Leicester, I don't think you've got the meat in the matter there. You're just going to get found out. The likes of Arsenal, Spurs, United, all duking out for that 4th spot. Unfortunately, you're not going to be in it. Of course, you've got also outside contenders as well. Like Leicester. Wolves also trying to compete for those European spots, so it's gonna be a tough old slog for West Ham, and I think 7th is just about it for them. Into 6th, we have Arsenal. They currently find themselves in 4th, but of course, games in hand for you. The likes of Manchester United and Spurs will eventually see Arsenal drop back down to 6th. It's going to be tight. I've always said the race for 4th is going to be deadly, even better than the race for 1st. It looks like so. Arsenal are in it. They are definitely in this race for 4th, but someone has to be 4th, someone has to be 5th, and someone has to be 6th. I do think United are going to be more. They're not going to be the better side to watch. I can tell you that now. They're going to grind out the results. They're going to get just enough over the line and get at least better than Arsenal, because I just think Arsenal are they're on the cusps of clicking into place. They do need a couple of little spots. It's not a massive project. They've got a good keeper. I think they've got a good coach. I think they've got a good core of mid-20, early 20 players that are could dominate England for a good 2 or 3, 4 years. But they just need a couple of ingredients to kind of fill those gaps. And of course, the Aubameyang situation, get that figured out, get someone else up top, lead the charge, and of course, you'll be on your way. So 6th place for Arsenal. Into 5th, it will be Conte's bloody Spurs. Again, they made the decision to pull the trigger on Nuno Espirito Santo. Ghastly football it was for Spurs there, bringing in Conte. I don't really know. I'm not really watched too much of him, but he does bring something. He ain't going to bring the title this season. I'm not saying he would bring the title a guarantee ever, but he is a winner. Whether it is going to be the League Cup, FA FA Cup, something. I'm sure he's going to get his hands on some silverware for Spurs as long as they keep a hold of him as well. So Spurs, they got him in the end. I didn't think they would ever get him, so you know, it's the proof is in the pudding. Can he deliver the goods in the end? Again, keep a hold of Harry Kane will be massive. Can they do that? Of course, we do know City are selling Ferran Torres. Are they selling to fund maybe a move for a misfiring Harry Kane, or have they got other things up the sleeve? Will Vlahovic go? Because I just saw links of Fiorentina bringing in a striker themselves, a big time striker. So Vlahovic could be on his way out anyway. And if he's going to go to Spurs, that is a massive striker to bring in to maybe support Kane. Who bloody knows? You know they're on the lookout. So if they do bring Vlahovic, they might even be contenders for 4th spot, especially with Conte's boys. And again, if he can fix the stuff at the back and again strengthen the top, they'll be all right going forward. So 4th space for Spurs, 5th space Spurs, sorry. 4th space is Manchester United. That's right. They currently find themselves in 6th. A couple of games in hand on Arsenal. And Arsenal actually got, they got 5 points difference at the moment. So it's going to be massive how they turn this around. And I'm going to be on the edge of my seat to see how they do that. Are they actually going to do this and get themselves back in the 4th spot? It is, of course, a very tight old race. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that develops, how the relegation develops, and of course how the top 3 develop. Of course, who's going to be 3rd? Unfortunately, I really wanted Chelsea to break into that top 2 and of course give themselves something to fight about, but the recent results have been pretty poor. And again, I think they might be competing on multiple fronts. But Tuchel has made them a decent team, and a hard team to break down, a hard team to beat. And they are only 6 points off at the moment, but of course they played the same amount of games as those 2 above them. So they've got to pick up some big results and hopefully see the likes of Liverpool and City drop points along the way for them to get right back in it. But ultimately, they're in it. They're going to make it. They're going to be awkward as well to beat, but unfortunately, they will have a little less in the tank to break up the top 2. And here's the familiar top 2 with which we have gone. I've gone with Liverpool. That's right. I was hoping, I was hoping to see Liverpool get back top of the table. Of course, I do like Klopp. Big fan of Klopp. And they are better. They are better than they were last season. Of course, they're back in this, and it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight old finish. It's 3 points between themselves and City at the start of recording here. So it's going to be a tight old race. Looking forward to how it's going to pan out. And again, the game against each other will be massive. If Liverpool can pick up the win, then you know what? It could flip-flop around. It could flip around between now and May 3 or 4 times. But it's going to be an interesting race at the end of the campaign. As for City, of course, Pep's boys, they are just about to sell Ferran Torres. Are they going to bring in Harry Kane at long last? Are they going to bring? They were linked with Ronaldo. They're linked with Kane. They must be about to dip their hand in their pocket. But who are they going to bring in? I believe it is going to be a striker. It could be Kane. It could be Vlahovic. It could even be bloody Haaland. Who knows? It could be Lewandowski. I think his contract's up at the end of the season. Something big is in the works for Manchester City, and if that something big will get the goals and of course deliver the title, and might even deliver the Champions Bloody League. That's my picks, boys. That is it. Be sure to give the video some love, smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe, check it out down on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and of course Patreon as well. But until then, dudes, we are done. So have a good Christmas and all. I'll see you soon for the next.